So the Eagles leading the pack at 8-1. 2 through 4 are the Vikings, Saints, and Rams, who are all tied at 7-2, followed by the Seahawks, who obviously just lost Sherm, and the Panthers at 6-3. Donovan, I'll start with you here. Who's the biggest threat here to the Eagles?
I'm going to say it's two teams. I will say the Saints are a big threat, and I'll also say the L.A. Rams. And no one wants to talk about the L.A. Rams. And when I look at the L.A. Rams, you know, okay, if you like Jared Goff or not, Jared Goff to me is a guy that is perfect for that offense for Sean McVay. He's being able to spread the ball around to different receivers. We just talked about Buffalo and how.
I was going to ask you, what's the difference between him last year with Fisher and now with McVay? What's being done differently?
The big difference, and I said this last year, you don't have an offensive-minded head coach, and your offensive staff didn't build that offense around him. Remember in the very first game, they embarrassed the young man. You're the first pick of the draft, and you don't dress for the game in Denver? No, you're supposed to teach this young man how to go along with the process. You dress him. He may not play, but you still dress him. To me, everything was handled wrong with the Rams. But everything you're seeing now, with McVay getting him comfortable in that offense, he's spreading the ball around. He's got a formidable running back in the back, and Todd Gurley, who can run and also catch the ball out of the backfield. Woods is stepping up. Sammy Watkins is healthy, playing well. Kupp is playing well. But when you have a number one wide receiver in a Sammy Watkins, your 2 and 3 receivers really start to stand out, just like what we've seen in Dallas. Dez Bryant being your number one receiver, all of a sudden Cole Beasley looks like a great pickup.
Can't let that guy beat you.
And that's what I'm saying. And the same thing goes for Kupp. No one knew who Kupp was. You know, Kupp wasn't a high draft pick at all. You know, he's a guy that works well in that offense. And this is an offense that we've seen very successful with the Washington Redskins, with Kirk Cousins. This is the offense that we've seen be very successful in Houston when Kubiak was the head coach, and they were doing well with Matt Schaub. But the L.A. Rams, to me, I'm talking offense, but defensively, what they're able to do defensively, that's what makes them a tough matchup for the Eagles.
So Saints or Rams?
For me personally, it's the both of them. And I'm going to throw Minnesota in the mix as well. Now, we will learn something over the next 2 weeks because the Los Angeles Rams have back-to-back games on the road in Minnesota next week.
They play well on the road.
On the road in Minnesota next week, and then they play New Orleans after. Yep. So the two teams that I think, the three teams that I think battling with, they all play each other over the next 2 weeks. So we got that. But here's where I will give the Rams some love. Jared Goff is balling right now. Robert Woods showed out yesterday. Big-time 94-yard touchdown catch. I watched the game from start to finish yesterday. You look at him, you look at Kupp, you look at Watkins and these boys. Gurley's averaging better than 4 yards a carry. Defense is ranked 4th, 9th against the pass. I think that's good. But you can run on them.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have to be concerned about. Minnesota defense is elite. There you go. And that's my day.
You guys take like 6 teams. Well, there's this team and that team. Let's talk about the Rams. Let me just talk about the Rams because the answer is the Rams. Okay. And the only argument against them really is they haven't been there before. They don't have the kind of like what Seattle has. Again, the coach and the quarterback who's been there forever, doing it, the whole thing, know how to win the close ones. But under Jeff Fisher, because he was so terrible, they'd been stockpiling talent.
True.
And unlike the Eagles, where Carson Wentz goes into a great situation, Peterson was a quarterback. All the assistants were quarterbacks. He had an offensive line until the suspension, right? With Lane Johnson's suspension, but he had a line. Goff went into a terrible situation. Fisher put him in a position to lose. What they had was talent through the draft, because they always stunk, and a defense. So what happened when they got rid of Fisher? They got a dynamic young coach. They got Sammy Watkins, a lead receiver. Gurley is always excellent. They just can't stack the box every time. And the key was the signing of Whitworth, the left tackle off the Bengals.
Big time signing.
Because he's entering his mid-30s. Other teams didn't want to commit the money. They didn't think it was sustainable. And the Rams realized, no, we need protection right now because we're actually ready to win now. And they are.
I'm going to close it like this. You got to make up your mind, though. You can't sit up there and talk about talent one week and talk about experience the next. Because the fact of the matter is, even though you are right about their talent, they're going up against two teams that have experience.
Yep.
And are talented.
They lost at home to one of them already.
And so that's what I'm looking at. And that's why I said the jury's still out.
The Eagles don't have experience either at the coach and quarterback position. Right?
Yeah,
and that's
so
what they're
right
chasing.
now, we're saying
games.
the Saints, Rams, and Vikings. If we talked about this over the summer, we never would have discussed any of those teams. Talk about parity in the NFL, right?